Twitch extensions for custom emojis as well. Okay, so we have everything working. Now, this is
All right. There we go. All right, let me just get rid of some of the links that we don't need. Let me pull this one over here. I don't know if I need this one open, so I'm just going to keep it open and minimized over here. We don't need that one anymore. All right, how is everybody doing today? We feeling good? We feeling happy? We excited for the big debate happening? Oh yeah, by the way, don't forget to like the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the stream. Let me go ahead and pin that. All right, now I feel like... Oh, and I didn't make an announcement for the stream on Discord. Oh man, I'm all sorts of messed up today. Let's see here. Copy. Paste. Copy. Paste. First presidential debate coverage. Get in here. All right, now we're all set up. Now we're all good. Sorry, would you be willing to look a little bit more into philosophy? I'm feeling well, or absolutely no? I mean, I'm willing to look into it, but just like right now, there's more pressing things for me to... Like, there's more interesting things for me right now. Philosophy is not where my interest lies right this moment. It will likely become one of my interests in the future, maybe the near future, but just right now it's not. Okay, and I don't need this one over here. Alrighty. I hit the like button with my dick, super masculine, by the way. Yes, fuck the like button. Sensually. All right. Where is this tag in the... Oh. All right. How's everybody doing today? Let's see here. That thumbnail has been more relevant? Chill. Be nice about my thumbnail. All right. So here's what the plan is today. All right. Here's what the plan is today. Normal streaming stuff. We're probably going to be mostly focusing on the debate that's going to happen tonight. And then we're going to be moving everyone over from YouTube to Kick. And once we move over to Kick, that's when we will watch the debate. We'll be watching it with Wick and a couple of other people, Econo Boy. One person that's there is going to be from, not CPAC. What's the other one? TPUSA, I think. So, I see that anti-woke carbon or cartoon BS on Twitter. No, but if you DM it to me on Discord, I will definitely look at it. Well, I actually think it's a TPUSA girl. Also, you know what? I'm actually I'm happy with the chat, which I guess I should look this direction if I'm pretending to look at the chat, but this is where my screen is. So Nice kimono. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a cat kimono. I'm not sure how much of it will actually show up. Cat. Let's go. Why do you call women girls and men boys? What is that? What? What do you mean? Now I want one too. Let me. I have no idea where you can get it. So my girlfriend's a little bit of a crazy cat lady, and there was a cat convention. And at this cat convention, I mean, it had like a bunch of adoption stuff, stuff like that. But they did have a little like, buy stuff section, and there was a lot of weird weeaboo shit. And one of the weird weeaboo places had these kimonos. So you just said TPSA girl. I presume she's an adult woman if she's at TPSA, not a girl. Man, girl and woman are like nearly synonyms, okay? Like, what are you getting on to me about? I'll just steal one, no worries. Hey, you're not stealing this one, all right, motherfucker? All right, let me just move my windows around and see where we're at here. Let's start our stream off today by looking at the polls. See the presidential forecast. Let's see where we're at today. Biden wins 50 times out of 100 in our simulations, and Trump wins 49 times out of 100. This has been going back and forth between them like every single day for the past week. Oh man, you're going to trigger the fuck out of me already, I can tell. Trump is definitely winning. If Biden's team decides to rig it, don't predict well. I don't know what that last bit, don't predict well. I don't know what that means, but like, you realize that you're doing like the all roads lead to Rome fallacy. Like, either my guy wins or he won and they lied and said the other guy won. I literally don't know what I understand Trump is definitely winning. I understand if Biden's team decides to rig it. I don't know what the last bit means. I don't know what you mean. Anyways. But yeah, look at what we've got going on here. I'm trying to figure out how this electoral... Oh, this is the electoral vote margin. Interesting. It means civil conflict? Wait, what the fuck does that mean? Just remember how many service members... Just like I told you last stream, and I'm going to ignore you and your like insane 16-year-old ramblings for at least 30 minutes right now, all right? I'm not going to get in trouble with Uncle Sam. There's nothing that you can... Well, actually, there are some things that you could say that could probably get you in trouble, but... The new norm on X. Gotcha, Dank Brandon. Copy text. But yeah, I'm just going to ignore the like syphilitic ramblings that you're going on in my chat because it's not something that's going to happen. You can continue to say, repeat things that you've heard from weirdos on Kick and Twitch and YouTube. But the reality is there's not going to be a civil fucking war. If there is any kind of violence because of the election, first off, you shouldn't be like talking about it like you're the fucking Joker. Like,
Well, Batman, well, you'll just see what happens if Biden wins.
like, come the fuck on, man. Like, are you trying to fucking threaten me? Do you feel powerful when you say that all the fucking service members are going to come to your side and kill all the fucking liberals, and then y'all live in the fucking theocracy that you want? Like, please, shut the fuck up. Like, if you have an opinion, that's one thing. All the LARPy shit with where there's going to be civil conflict if Trump loses because the only way that Trump could lose is if they rig it. Like, I honestly think that, like, I waffle between the, like, this front yard shield kid has a really high intelligence, and this motherfucker is actually clinically fucking retarded. You're simultaneously too fucking smart to just repeat verbatim all of the things that you hear from, like, crazy people on the internet. Right? You're simultaneously too smart for that, but you're also too fucking stupid to understand why you're wrong. Even though we've explained it a million fucking times. Anyways, I'm ignoring you for the next 30 minutes. I don't feel like I want to time you out because I feel guilty for doing it. Which I shouldn't, but you know. Incredible impersonation? Was it? I literally had just like did that. I never practiced the Joker voice. That's like my Lord Frieza voice. I can time him out? No. He hasn't done anything timeoutable yet. I just got here. I don't know what you've been saying, but you're wrong. True. Econo Boy agrees with Panda Man. He thinks that the Civil War is going to kick off because there's no way that Trump loses unless the Biden team rigs it. Okay, you guys heard it here first. All right. Econo Boy just said that. It's right there in plain text. You can't take it back. No takesies backsies. That's where we're at right now. Also, there's 5 people watching on YouTube and only 3 likes. What the fuck is up with that? Come on, like the stream. Assholes. Biden should rig the election for the memes? True. I think that would be really funny. But rig it for RFK Jr.? You know what? That would be funny. That would be really fucking funny. A 3-way, like a near tie 3 ways between 3 competitors. But RFK Jr. gets 1 more electoral vote than Biden. And it was rigged that way, when really Biden had a 50-state sweep. Anyways. Let's see here. By the way, Econo Boy, I don't know if Wick told you, but I'm gonna be in the debate watch party with you. So you'll have another lib there with you. All right, don't worry. Alrighty. I want to see. Yes, the forecast has changed over time. It's neck and neck. Please don't give us a 270, 268. Please, God. Win probability. Really? In April, they would say that Biden had a higher chance than now? Trump ain't never going to get that popular vote, is he? Trump's been trying to get that popular vote for fucking 10 years, bro. For 10 years, Trump's been hunting, been trying to get that fucking popular vote, and nobody's going to give it to him. Nobody's going to give it to him. Okay. And then we'll do our normal thing. Look at all the swing states and where they're at right now. Minnesota is lean Democrat. Biden wins 71 times out of 100. Dude, I'm boozing it up tonight. I'm gonna get crunk. Well, I'm trying to decide whether I want to get crunk tonight while watching the debate. The problem is, like, on one hand, it would be fun to just like kind of sit and meme and watch the debate, drinking and all that. On the other hand, like we're gonna be on a what do you call it? I released a video on the debate / key points. Link it to me in DMs. We'll watch it. What was I saying just now? I totally lost my train of thought responding to that. Oh, yeah. The drinking and all that stuff, the degenerate stuff. But what we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be going on with Wick and a couple of other people. I don't know if he's released everyone's name, and I feel bad that I've even said anything because I don't know if any of it was supposed to be a surprise. Does Jill Stein play a part if it's super close? Only if they are getting any results in the swing states, right? But as it stands right now, no. So Minnesota seems pretty good for Biden right now. DM'd, thank you. Let's look at Arizona. Trump wins 56 times out of 100. Biden wins 44 times out of 100. And I wonder if what we see in the... Oh, no, it's just been fucking neck and neck the entire time, basically, dude. I did hear something recently, in like the past couple of days, that Kennedy is very possibly going to like be dropping out. 1 second, let me turn that down just slightly. RFK like may drop out pretty soon because of the lack of funding, the lack of support, et cetera, et cetera. And I also think that he's having a lot of trouble getting onto the ballot. Yeah, struggling with ballot access. So like if Kennedy's not even on the ballot, there have been a bunch of things that show, or things, I should be more specific, polls and studies out of polling groups, polling organizations, and universities who are doing studies on the election. And Kennedy seems to be pulling from both Biden and Trump, but when presented with a choice, of only Biden and Trump, right? They say, listen, it's the day of the election, right? And you know that Kennedy will not win your state. Who are you going to vote for? I think like 70% of the people voting for Kennedy over Biden or Trump, 70% of them go to Biden. And those are both Biden and Trump support, or like Democrats and Republicans that hate both of the candidates are moving over to vote for Biden because they just really fucking hate Trump. And then there's also these issues, and something was brought up to me earlier. I'm super curious about Illinois, not Indiana, maybe? Where did Haley 20%, 20% primary drop out? There's some state that she got, zombie Haley voters, maybe? Some state, the Republicans voted for her like 20% after, like a month after she dropped out. Georgia, Washington, Arizona, Florida, and Illinois, where she won at least 13%. Oh, Indiana. 22%. When did she... Oh, 2 months later. 2 months later. After she dropped out, she got 22% of the vote in the Republican primary against Trump. So I wonder... Well, it says Indiana's 11... What is like the popular vote share? I don't know if that would be enough to change it. Because I just don't know. Full Kennedy news? Thank you. 1 second. Can you at least react to this short Fox News clip? Yeah, sure. We can do that. Pause, please. 1 second. let me just finish with the RFK stuff, and then you actually linked something for once that I'm actually interested in looking at. So let's go. Everybody give a quick round of applause to Panda. Also, again, we have 11 people watching on YouTube, but only 5 likes. That's a bad ratio, all right? Like the stream, all right? It helps me out a lot, and it brings more people into the chat. More people like the stream, more people get it in their recommendeds. More people click on the stream, more people for you guys to interact with in chat, more people for me to interact with in chat. It's a win-win for every single person involved. Saw a poll that had Cornel West at 8%, and I was like, yeah, he's not getting 8%. Don't trust every single poll that you see. The only third-party candidate that's getting any amount of support right now is RFK, and it's dwindling. One second. Okay. I haven't heard any news about Cornel West in like 6 months. Okay? Like, I don't think that this guy is getting anything up. All right? Okay, we're going to be opening up a bunch of links here because we want to get through as much regular content as we can before we go into the actual debate. RFK plans real debate to counter Trump Biden matchup. I can't come to your debate. I'll just have my own debate with blackjack and hookers. Like, come on, man. Okay, let's see what this is. Cenk Uygur is on the RFK train. Well, color me shocked. The worst half of the Young Turks is doing something stupid. RFK will host a real debate on Thursday night, simultaneous to the face-off between President Biden and former President Trump. Kennedy failed to qualify for the first debate, and his campaign has alleged the exclusion represents collusion between 2 establishment parties. Including one require he reach at least 15% in 4 national voter polls. What were CNN's standards? I'm so curious. Ross Perot in 1992. 15% in 4 national polls. Oh, is that literally it? Oh, okay. He also didn't achieve ballot access in enough states to have a chance at winning 270 electoral votes. Really? Uh-oh. He should debate AI, Trump, and Biden. Bro, if that is his real debate, I will lose my fucking shit, dude. I would lose my fucking shit. I would vote for RFK if he went out tonight and said, I'm going to have a real debate. I'm going to show you guys what a real debate is. And then he has 2 AI generated fucking opponents that he argues with. Dog. Let's see here. Wait. So, wait, what does it mean? How are they... I'm so curious how that looks. I'm so curious what that looks like. Okay. All right, pause in the background music. Let's see what Vivek Ramaswamy has to say.
Sources are telling CNN that the president has now been told by his advisor.
Also, I think it's so funny. Actually, you know what? There's a picture that I can pull up that kind of sums this up perfectly. Let me just search from Come on. Couldn't have been that long ago. It was like literally, there it is. Jump. This is what we've been seeing. Did Biden do well? Yes. He's on drugs. Trump actually won. Did Biden do well? No. He's too old. Trump won. The unbelievable amount of like lowering the expectations that the Republicans have done over the past week to kind of like sandbag any possible, any possible bad showing from Trump is unbelievable. It went from, for a year, blasted into our head, fucking hammered like a fucking mallet and a giant railroad spike, just hammering it into our skull so that we could never forget, is that Biden is an old man. Biden is an old man, and he has dementia, and he doesn't even know where he is when he wakes up in the morning, and he doesn't know where he is when he's giving speeches. He's just reading off of a teleprompter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But suddenly, somehow, in the past, 7 days, Biden went from an old, decrepit, barely sentient, dementia-ridden, geriatric fuck who shits his pants daily to the most hardcore, demented debater you've ever seen in your entire life. He has gone from the weakest opponent of all time, and that's why Trump is obviously going to win, to, well, Biden is actually like a really strong debater, and he could actually twist this entire thing. And look, they're trying to give him all of the benefits in the entire world in this debate. They're muting Trump's mic. They're not having a studio audience. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, holy shit! I can't fucking believe it. How their voters, how the Trump supporters don't question the immediate flip in rhetoric, in view on Trump. How do they not see the immediate flip, the immediate spin? Like I wouldn't be so flabbergasted if they had been like trying to like sneak it in there a little bit, over time, over like a couple of months, and like, okay, I see they're trying to like go for a different strategy. But this is like instant, on a dime, for 1 year, it's been Biden old, frail, demented, doesn't know where he is. Then in 1 week, it's unbelievable fucking mastermind. I don't know how people don't see that flip. Oh, man. Wishing death on the president? That gets you a 5-minute ban. Also, yeah, you don't know what fascist means. Also, like, every single time you give me just like buzzword after buzzword after buzzword after buzzword in a comment, I'm just gonna give you a 5-minute timeout until you can self-regulate, until you get to figure out what it is, because we've all tried to explain it to you, but you can't quite figure it out. I'm totally fine with people that disagree with me in chat. I have it all the time. You, on the other hand, are just like spamming the same message over and over and over in like different orders. Like you're just rearranging the words, but saying the exact same thing. So we're not going to do that today. All right, let's watch the video.
Sources are telling CNN that the president has now been told by his advisors to shy away from talking too much about what he's done for the bulk of the last 3 years.
Joining us now is Vivek Ramaswamy, former 2024 presidential candidate. Vivek, it took 16 people to come up with this?
The reality is these people have been wielding Biden as their puppet for a very long time. Yeah. They're going to play their puppet tomorrow night in one more way. The reality is President Trump is actually quite brave to step up for this debate. In CNN, on the other...
He was the challenger. It's bad timing for Trump to do the debate now. Why is he brave to have a debate? He's been begging for a debate for like, how long? What the fuck is this? Oh, no. Turn off social stream extension. No, I don't want to do that though. Okay.
The other side's home turf in the middle of Atlanta with no live audience. It would have been the equivalent of Biden going to Alabama in front of 3,000 people hosted by Fox News. No way Joe Biden would have done that. So I think Donald Trump is.
What do you mean? How is that anyway? The exact opposite of that would be Trump going to New York City to a stadium full of people moderated by MSNBC. Okay, come on.
Live audience. It would have been the equivalent of
The live audience thing does play in Biden's advantage because people laugh at Trump's, zingers, and if he just like says something and it is met with silence, it's like a laugh track in a sitcom. If you don't have the laugh track there, you don't know when you're supposed to laugh because the jokes aren't funny.
Biden going to Alabama in front of 3,000 people.
Yeah, and Trump has had multiple town halls and interviews on CNN. This is just like it's massive cope. It's sandbagging any possible like loss that Trump could have. It's insane.
Hosted by Fox News. No way Joe Biden would have done that. So I think Donald Trump has already won the debate by showing up on the terms that Biden.
Just by showing up, Trump wins. Like, we don't even have to watch this debate. He went to the debate, so therefore he wins. Like, case closed. Don't watch the debate, guys, because like we don't know what like sneaky deep state tactics that this master debater Biden, geriatric as he may be and puppet as he may be, we don't know what tactics he may employ here. So it's not even worth watching the debate. But like, but Trump won it. So like Trump just wins. Like, talk about a fucking participation trophy. Jesus Christ.
Biden demanded and demonstrating to this country that he's really ready to not only lead this country, but unite this country in a way that Biden has failed miserably to do. And I think he's going to.
How much bipartisan legislation did Trump get through? Not that much, if any. How much bipartisan policy, massive bipartisan policy, has Biden gotten through? We have the American Rescue Plan. We have the infrastructure bill. We have the CHIPS Act. We have the Inflation Reduction Act. We have like 3 or 4 other like massive spending bills that target specific things that Trump has been saying that he was going to fix the entire time he was president and before that, and never did because he can't fucking work with anybody because it's his way or the fucking highway. Hard to pass things when people will block you from breathing? Listen, if people are blocking him from breathing, he should probably try to negotiate with those people in good faith to try and get those people, like Biden did. You can like give all the Trump cope that you possibly can. But at the end of the day, he's the president of the fucking United States. If he can't get the other senators from the other side on his side, if he can't get the House on his side for a single fucking bill to address any of the major problems that we have in the United States, that's on him. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, everybody is supposed to be accountable except for Donald Trump. Trump isn't supposed to have any accountability literally ever for any of his failures, for any of his flaws, for any of his actions. Trump doesn't have any accountability. I forgot. That's how the conservative brain works right now.
Come across great tomorrow night.
And, with Joe Biden, I mean, he has been in this this airplane where they keep the airplane, the hangar. I'm sorry.
You aren't asking accountability for the Biden crime family? I said, go ahead, do an investigation. I did say that, actually, explicitly. I said, investigate the Bidens, investigate Hunter Biden, investigate Joe Biden. Do what you want to fucking do. But you know what? They were able to come up with some drug and gun charges for Hunter Biden, and he didn't file his taxes for like 2 years. But they weren't able, despite 2, maybe 3 years of Republican control of the like House Investigation Committee or whatever it's called, they just weren't able to find a single link to Joe Biden doing anything illegal. I feel like at this point, I'm totally consistent. If there's corruption, investigate the corruption. Investigate the corruption. I'm totally fine with that. But please, there has to be evidence for it. You have the wings on the wrong one. You must be another POS demon crack. Fuck you and your shit show. What do you mean you have the wings on the wrong one? I've never heard that expression before. I'm sorry if you feel that way, Lori. Like, what do you want me to say? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Trump is my Lord and Savior, and he was chosen specifically by Jesus Christ to be his successor on this planet Earth that we occupy right now. I worship at the foot of Trump. I am a hardcore MAGA person, and I will never, ever question any statement, any action, or any, personality quirk of Donald Trump because, I mean, fuck, he's essentially like my Lord and Savior. I know that might sound a little sacrilegious, but like at the end of the day, he's a real Christian man, except for like the fact that he thinks that his book is better than the Bible. But you know what? Like that's neither here nor there. Trump's like a real Christian man who loves Christians, despite like not being photographed in a church for decades until he was the president, and then it felt like really important that he was in a church at least once or twice a year. Anyways, let's continue.
With all of these people going in and out with golf carts, I mean, it's like they're making a movie. What do you think they're doing in there with Joe Biden? I mean, he's a president. Doesn't he already know his job?
I'm sorry, I was reading chat. Let me go back to where we were.
Doing in there with airplane, the hangar, I'm sorry. With all of these people going in and out with golf carts, I mean, it's like they're making a movie. What do you think they're doing in there with Joe Biden? I mean, he's a president. Doesn't he already know his job?
Well, one can only speculate, but I do believe that the whole thing is somewhat of a concrete poem, Judge. It's actually a way in which this whole thing is a production, an artifice. You got Steven Spielberg designing it. It's designed with the effects of a movie studio, they say. Well, that's like this whole Potemkin village of the entire presidency. It is a projection of artifice. Bidenomics with one set of facts, the economic reality for Americans another.
We're rising at a higher rate for our GDP than we were under Trump. That's a significantly higher rate right there. Okay, well, which economic factors are we looking at? Inflation over time. Do we have a graph? 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 We don't have a graph. No graph? Come on. Can we go back? Let's do 5 years feels too long. Oh, increasing inflation because of COVID and a million other factors. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Did inflation not recover? Like people had been saying for years that the inflation rate at this point was probably too low. The target inflation rate is somewhere between 2 and 3.5%. We're right around that, right? Or we're under 3.5% right now. So we're in the green. We've been in the green since June of last year. So it's not inflation. Inflation isn't ruining our lives anymore. That's been brought down. I don't know. Where's the economy doing bad? I don't know what to trust, especially from the government after Operation Paperclip, the mind control LSD experiments conducted by the CIA, the Wall Street bailouts. Oh my God. Oh God, he actually is too far gone. That's pretty rough.
Of artifice. Okay. Bidenomics with one set of facts, the economic reality for Americans another. Claiming to do something about the southern border.
Play this since you brought it up. Please let it be short.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are,
well,
and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot.
You can't even think of John 3:16.
To you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Man, why does he look like this? Is it just the lighting? This was when, like, it says 4 years ago, so when was this? Oh.
Even to cite a verse that you like.
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible.
He doesn't know anything about the Bible, dude. Yeah, I'm more, I like them both a lot. Well, do you like you like the Jesus parts or do you like the Jew part? And he's like, I like them both. Oh, man.
The whole Bible is an incredible. I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time.
Front Yard Shield, you keep on saying that you love this country, but like you literally just like shoot out every anti-American talking point of all time without any understanding about any of it. I don't know who you are, so I won't do that.
But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
I think it's something very special. Okay. No more links. We're getting through this.
For Americans another. Claiming to do something about the southern border when we have the largest influx of illegal migration in the history of this country. So in a certain way, that debate preparation and the movie studio antics is a perfect encapsulation of the falsehood of this presidency in the first place. But the good news is I think the American people have been lied to before. They're prepared to see through it.
And, you know, the New York Times is going to be deploying 29 fact checkers to CNN's presidential debate between Biden and former President Trump on Thursday. Do you think this is a little much?
Well, look, the reality is I think it's perfectly reasonable.
Well, you know, with the amount of times that Trump speaks, you know, you're probably going to need 29 fact checkers because every breath that he takes is going to take them another like 5 minutes to look up all of the crazy shit that he's saying.
Reasonable to have progressive-leaning publications state their opinions. We're in a country where you have the freedom to speak, after all. But the problem with institutions like the New York Times, or CNN for that matter, is that they pretend to be neutral institutions when, in fact, just purveying progressive political views.
Would you guys admit to being partisan conservatives, or are you guys fair and balanced still?
So I have no problem if you want to publish progressive political views, but just own it. Call your news page what it is. It is an opinion page. And the reality is these fact checks have been time and again proven wrong. Just look at the last election, the Hunter Biden laptop story. What happened to that?
Yeah.
Proven to be true when they said it was false. Right. The origin of COVID. They have not learned their...
The origin of COVID has not been settled. First off. Second off, I'm pretty sure we're further away now than we were like in 2022 from the, it was created in a lab theory.
Lesson of humility, and the sad fact of the matter is that's why Americans distrust the mainstream media, and tomorrow's going to be a great night for them to hear directly from both candidates, and I expect President Trump to shine.
I do.
Except for all of the reasons why I said that he's not going to shine because of all of the, all of the conspiracies to make sure that he fails. So if he fails, it's because they, intentionally made it to where he couldn't win. But if he wins, then he just like overcame all of the odds. It's either I win and that's just it. I just won, or I lost, but that's because they rigged it. You going to stream the debate? Yes. So stick around on Kick, all right?
As well, but Vivek, a photographer, went viral on X after posting about Trump leaving Cleveland Hopkins Airport. He's theorized that he was there to ask someone to become his VP in person. And he said that it was you. Any response to this?
Look, what I'll say.
Bro, if he chooses Vivek Ramaswamy to be the VP, there's got to be someone else in Ohio, right? Because people have said, or I think that Trump said that he has already selected a VP candidate. If it's someone from Ohio, it's either that JD Vance guy, right? Because he's from Ohio. Let me make sure. From Ohio. So I think it's way more likely that it's JD Vance than Vivek Ramaswamy, but
Say is this: President Trump and I have had some great conversations about the future. He has not asked me to be his vice president, but whoever he asks, I think will have a great opportunity and an honor and a duty to serve this country, to advance that America First agenda, take it to the next level, to fix that southern border crisis, to grow the economy, and I believe to get those bureaucrats out of Washington, D.C. That's how you grow the economy. And you know what? The step-by-step process is first success tomorrow night, then win the election.
Step 1, fire bureaucrats. Step 2, watch line go up.
Then implement the agenda. I think that's how we're going to save this country.
All right, Vivek, we love you. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox.
Taibbi's Italian.
I'm not watching it. Okay. Listen. This entire thing is just like managing expectations for the entirety of the Trump base. That's all this is. That's all that Fox has been doing for the past week, is just managing expectations, because they feel like Trump has a really, like, I would say there's like a 50-50 chance of one of them doing something incredibly fucking stupid tonight. All right. Either one of them, 50-50 chance. Actually, I'd probably put a slightly higher on Trump because he refuses to do any debate prep. They had to rebrand debate prep as policy discussions with him because he wouldn't do any debate prep because he thinks he's just got it in the bag. So like maybe I would put it slightly higher for Trump, but like both of them have the opportunity to do some real dumb shit or say some real dumb shit tonight. I just don't understand how people don't see the like instant heel turn, not heel turn, like turn on a dime for these people to like, for like, again, years say that Biden is just a puppet. Biden is a dementia riddled old man.
Very long time.
But now like it's going to be a catastrophic, horrible debate for Trump, but he's still going to win. How's it going, Abby? Front Yard Shield, the past month you've been going down some conspiracy rabbit holes and it's really depressing. I'm not reading it. The Great Reset is nothing. Betting markets. If you link me one, we'll go over it. Still streaming? Wait, are you streaming right now? Why are you in my chat if you're streaming? You didn't open the second link? Did I not? Yeah, I did. I opened 2 X links. Oh. No, there's 2 links there. All right. The 6-3 SCOTUS ruling backing the Biden administration's coercion of social media companies effectively means the government can censor Americans' constitutionally protected speech so long as they outsource it to a third party. Unbelievable. Alito's dissent is spot on. What was the case over? It's been 24/7. I have a co-host. Oh, okay. Why are you streaming 24/7? Hey, thank you for the $1.99. I really appreciate that, my man. That is regrettable. What the officials did in this case was more subtle than the ham-fisted censorship found to be unconstitutional in Vulo. Fish tank? Oh. Yeah, that's something I couldn't get into. Sorry. I could never get into fish tank. Oh, yeah, by the way, Tron, that Vivek responding to this, that could be a good YouTube video. Okay, hold on. Let me read at least a little bit about this. Court decision Murthy versus Missouri, a battle over social media, misinformation, free speech, and the role of government is a win for all Americans. Whether you love social media or hate it, whether you trust the Biden administration or don't, whether you know every facet of this case or barely understand it, the court's ruling was the right one. The case centered on state officials and individuals from Louisiana and Missouri who sued the Biden White House and dozens of government officials and agencies, claiming their free speech rights were violated because the administration had allegedly pressured social media companies to censor social media posts containing misinformation, and by extension, silence conservative voices during the COVID pandemic and the 2020 election. Betting market? Okay, we'll look at that in 1 second. I just want to see what this is. The decision was written by ACB and released yesterday. The court declared that the plaintiffs had not shown significant enough facts to bring suit in the first place. The ruling overturned a decision by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, a far-right court that had upheld the lower court's judgment that the platforms had been unduly influenced by the government in making content moderation decisions. Barrett's opinion called the plaintiffs' claims no more than conjecture and criticized the Fifth Circuit for relying on the district court's clearly erroneous finding of fact. Jesus. This is ridiculous. We can't hold Uncle Sam liable for him choking down political dissidents like Soviet Union Nazi or Nazis Germany when they questioned the COVID vaccine regime and transparent election. Bring me one verifiable fact that backs up a single goddamn thing you said in that thing. Otherwise, I'm not responding to another thing that you say for the rest of the day. Or just admit that you don't need facts to believe these things. What are those two things? Chop, chop. Okay, so this was like the Twitter file stuff, right? What the officials did in this case was more subtle than the ham-fisted censorship found to be unconstitutional. Is that not a fact? We can't hold him liable according to this court's ruling. The court is overwhelmingly conservative leaning, packed with Trump appointees. You don't even, if I don't know about this, then neither do you. So you're just automatically assuming malfeasance on the government's part. Do you see how, like, you automatically assume everything the government is doing is bad? You're no better than the schizophrenic on the side of the street saying that they're the third coming of Jesus Christ, of course, after Donald Trump, right? The third coming of Jesus Christ himself, and that the government has been wiretapping into his brain through Wi-Fi and 5G, gave him cancer, COVID, and malaria, all right? You're no better than that guy. That doesn't change the fact about what I said. That doesn't change the fact of what I said about not being able to hold Uncle Sam accountable. You can hold Uncle Sam accountable. People win court cases against the government all the fucking time. Just not in this instance. Okay, I just wanted to point out to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to literally everyone else watching. And I'm sorry, Front Yard Shield, but because of your fucking incessant fucking constant drive to pull my attention away from literally anything else that I ever fucking do on my stream. I'm just going to point out that that's because Adventurous, you know, the retard who has like literally 3 fucking brain cells that I argued with, and he couldn't stand on a single point that he brought up himself. He couldn't stand on a single point that he brought up himself, okay? The retard, Alex Jones, the guy that lied about children being shot in a fucking school, lost all of his fucking earthly fucking possessions, and is let's be real, a fucking joke in the political scene. Dave Smith, a fucking conspiracy-brained fucking loser who couldn't explain his libertarian ideology to someone who is on the same political side as him. Joe Rogan, a fucking... his brain is fried from all of the drugs and all of the fucking roundhouse kicks it took to his fucking skull. He barely has a functional fucking like consciousness at this point. Tucker Carlson, a disgraced journalist who got fired from Fox News for costing them $1 billion for lying on TV, but we have shown you has lied multiple fucking times. And then Lauren Chin, a fucking YouTuber. Gas is right. All of your sources are retarded, and you should feel ashamed. And do not fucking distract me another fucking time, or I'm perma-banning you. You have ruined literally every stream of mine by triggering the fuck out of me. And I feel too guilty because of your age to fucking ban you again, because you always fucking come and cry like a fucking tiny little fucking baby girl to me in DMs after I ban you. Stop fucking saying crazy, stupid, dumbass shit in my fucking chat. That is regrettable. What the officials did in this case was much more subtle than the ham-handed censorship found to be unconstitutional in Vulo, but it was no less coercive. And because of the perpetrator's high positions, it was even more dangerous. It was blatantly unconstitutional, and the country may come to regret the court's failure to say so. Officials who read today's decision together with Vulo will get the message. If a coercive campaign is carried out with enough sophistication, it may get by. That is not a message this court should send. 6-3 SCOTUS ruling. 6-3 SCOTUS ruling. In a conservative-leaning court, mind you, in favor of the Biden administration. Backing the Biden administration's coercion of social media companies effectively means the government can censor Americans' constitutionally protected speech so long as they outsource it to a third party. Unbelievable. Alito's dissent is spot on. Now let's watch the video. It's 11 minutes long? Wait, this is from last year, though. What is it?
For citizens against government waste. Has the left unintentionally given us a Christmas gift with this ruling? This is a bad ruling. It is trash. It is dangerous. It is unprecedented. Thankfully, the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, is going to weigh in on this. But the argument that they are making, the Colorado Supreme Court made, is that, well, he incited violent activity. Now, one of the most revealing things about this ruling is of the 7 justices on the Supreme Court.
This has no bearing on anything that we're talking about. Wait, what is this? What? Why did someone link this? Okay, who cares? Let's get rid of some of these. I'm going to hold on to that one for later. All right. Now let's look at the betting markets. 404 page not found. Real clear polling. Is there betting markets on this? No, you're fine in gas. I don't care. betting markets. Do we see betting markets literally anywhere? Betting odds. Let's see what the betting odds are. Let's see here. Damn, they're hard going for Donald Trump. I should put $100 on this, see what I can get out of it. So the betting averages heavily favor Trump, but the polls do not. Oh, that's changed in the last couple of days. Last time we looked, it was June what? Here? So in like 5 days, he got a point up? Interesting. Does that match 538? Because they have him favored to vote, or favored to win. Electoral votes, popular vote. The 538 is going directly against what RCP is saying, or huh. Oh, well, this is the betting odds. I'm stupid as fuck. Hold on. Trump versus Biden. Oh, this is... Oh, yeah. This isn't the betting odds. This is just the... Huh. Wonder why that is. Why they have such a different idea than they do. All right. What else are we going over? There were a bunch of links in the content suggestions, but also Econoboy has linked us something here.
There's a presidential debate.
Jesus Christ, Econoboy, you're loud.
Scheduled June 27th, this coming Thursday at the time of this recording. It's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be 90 minutes. There's going to be no live audience. It's just going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And I wanted to talk about some of the strategies that I think each candidate can or should employ, depending on, who you're asking.
The debate will go something like this. Better be short, better be
without
funny.
further ado, let me welcome the Republican nominee, former President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, President Biden.
Sleepy Joe, you have run this country to its absolute ground.
Well, at least I do run sometimes, if you know what I mean.
And at least I can form coherent sentences.
Oh, is that so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, idiot says what?
What? Oh, slimy, stinky Joe.
Got you there, Jack, didn't I?
Well, if I am Jack, then you are Wojak, the mostest soy Wojak possibly in the world.
Listen, you are the soy Wojak. I am the Chad Wojak.
No, you are the soy Jojak, and I am the Chad Gamer Wojak. You know who you are? You are the 80-year-old unfit ruler. That's who you are.
You know you're not the Chad Wojak. I am the Nordic Gamer, Chad, the Giga Chad Wojak.
You're the virgin, and I'm the Chad.
I'm actually not a virgin. Your mom can attest to that.
Well, look, all I'm saying is that we are in two separate leagues. You are the global...
Jesus Christ.
Globalism fan, and I am the patriotism enjoyer.
I'm a patriotic globalist. I support slavery worldwide.
This is real.
A better analogy would be that I'm the rare Pepe and you're the small crying people.
You're Apustaya. You're a small crying Apustaya. I am the based and red-pilled Groiper.
That is not true.
It is true.
No, you're not based. You are actually cringe.
No, I am based and red-pilled.
Ring.
Hello?
Hi, is this the cringe department?
No, this is the base department.
No, I think it is the cringe department.
Beep boop.
What was that?
I hung up.
Nuh-uh. I can still hear it. I can still hear all the cringe.
That is not true. Well, for example, I am the Chad Doge, and you are the little tiny Doge.
He's called Cheems, you dumb.
Well, you seem to know a lot about him, don't you?
Will you shut up, man?
Do you know what Sigma Grindset is? It's like Patrick Bateman. Great guy. I watched this movie, American Psycho.
Yeah?
Great movie. I really related to the main character. I do think that he might be literally me.
Oh, yeah? Well, have you seen Drive, Blade Runner, or Taxi Driver? I am all of those characters.
You can't be all of those characters.
Yes, I can.
Nuh-uh.
Straw man?
That's not a straw man. Do you even know the definition?
Appeal to authority?
You're literally the president.
Ad hominem?
I agree.
Where am I? Oh, right. Yeah. Mr. Trump, let's not forget that you led an armed insurrection against the Capitol of the United States.
Oh, come on, Joe. We were just doing a bit of battle royale. Don't be acting all among us sus. Don't be acting among us sus, Joe.
Well, maybe I think you're the imposter.
I'm not the imposter, Joe. It's all in your head.
Yeah?
If I was imposter, then you would be dead.
We both know that I have a higher KD ratio than you.
Well, that D part might increase soon is all I'm saying.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are closing the first of the 2023 live presidential debates.
Okay, it was better than I thought it was going to be. All right, but it doesn't have anything on. This is my president, okay?
I'm smoking on Bhutanese Shadow Garden grown Dark Evil Pack. They watered this with the blood of 36 dragons. Shit so purple it should be asking me, where's Ronald? Nigga, this shit will turn your pacemaker off. Nuclear levels of sour, lung slaughtering, necromancer kush. Shit got diamonds on it, so you know that THC to CBD ratio is fucking swag, nigga. A whiff of this shit? Yeah, that nefarious evil sorcerer Moongrass. This shit straight out of K-Lid. This shit is what shot Tupac. Rip my nigga for real, dog.
This shit'll turn your pacemaker off. It was a real clip. It was a real clip for Air Shield. All right. Let's watch Mr. Econo Boy. Let's see what he has to say about all of this. Also, guys, if you guys like my content, all right, especially now in my time of need, as I am getting ready to move, as I am tenuously employed. They're starting to request my presence less at work because I am no longer going to be there, and they need, the trainers to train my replacement. So if you guys would please, I'm coming to you hat in hand. If you guys want to support me in any way, if you guys want to help me out, help me pay the editor, etc., if you guys want to help me just like afford food and gas and all of that, please consider super chatting on YouTube or using the even better, using the StreamYards link that is in the description. That would help me a whole lot. Or becoming a member on YouTube or a subscriber on Kick. All of these things would help me out a whole lot. Yes, I've decided to take Destiny up on his advice and move. And it's happening in less than 3 weeks now. So it's a little bit terrifying.
That would lead to them maybe winning the debate or doing well in the eyes of the public. These are some things that I kind of wanted to talk about. Let's start with Joe Biden. So what can Joe Biden do to win the debate or to at least look decent in the debate, if you ask me, my read of things? So number one, I think that this is going to be ironic for both candidates coming up, for Trump and Biden. The number one thing for Biden is you've got to look normal. You've got to look normal. He does struggle with public speaking in general, and he tends to speak quite slowly. On another show that I was on, I said, Biden's kind of a 1.5 speed type candidate, right? I mean, you don't really listen to Biden at normal speed because he talks really slowly, right? And he talks in a way that's kind of boring, right? In a way that's not necessarily very fiery and resonant. Trump calls him low energy. I mean, that seems to be Biden, right? I mean, he doesn't seem to speak very powerfully, at least for the most part. At the very least, in debates, I mean, if you look at his old debates in 2020, yeah, I mean, Democrats laughed and cheered when Biden said, "Will you shut up, man?" But he didn't say it like, "Oh, shut up" or whatever. It wasn't a big, powerful thing. It was, "Oh, will you shut up, man?" Plain and simple. So I think the biggest thing for Biden is that he has to appear energetic. He has to look generally normal. He has to pick up the pace when he's speaking overall. Now, the advantage for Biden in the regard of looking normal is that the Republicans have set a super duper low bar for Biden. Okay, they have spent the last several months saying Biden's demented, he's crapping himself, he's got Alzheimer's, he needs handlers, his wife is running the country, he stutters every time he speaks, and there is a general view amongst, let's say, like a large part of the Republican base, a large portion of independents, that Biden's too old, he has Alzheimer's, he's like dying in front of us, and he can't get 2 words out without basically looking confused and losing his train of thought. That's just not true, right? This was one of the reasons why in the State of the Union he had such a flip in the polls, where so many people, with regards to the age question, with regards to who they're going to vote for, they became a lot more confident in voting for Biden, and a lot of people flipped to voting for Biden because the bar has been set so low that if Biden can just go out there, stand for an hour and a half straight, answer questions relatively reasonably, and go from there without, saying anything too crazy or, completely losing his train of thought or anything like that, which again, he tends not to do, then he'll tend to beat expectations. And in some regard, it's not about performing nominally well, objectively, is this the best way that a person could speak at a presidential debate? It's about beating expectations. And fortunately for Biden, the expectations in terms of his demeanor, his ability to speak are...
Well, this is why they've set the bar so unbelievably low for Trump. Because they know that it's a rough position to be in, being the president, and it's a rough spot to be in, being the president, and losing every single debate that you've been in. Well, I say that. 2016, he won some debates. 2020, as president, he lost his debates versus Biden. He did. I think that most people that aren't coping super unbelievably hard agree with that. He came off as a little bit deranged, a little bit loony. And so if Trump can like be like kind of normal and he doesn't come off as totally unbelievably deranged, then I think that they'll claim victory. But if he fails to not be deranged, if he fails to make any good points or have answers to Biden's stuff, or if the fact checkers like call one or both of them out on stuff and Trump doesn't have an answer, I think that will also just be like another thing for them to say, look, it was rigged from the start. We had no chance. There was no way that we could ever win, you know? Trump is better in the multi-person debates, not the 1v1. True. But he did well against Hillary Clinton, right? But he doesn't have some of the advantages that he had versus Hillary Clinton. So like, for instance, they don't have they're going to have their mics muted when it's not their turn to speak, right? Which is a kind of good thing and a bad thing for both people. It's good for Biden in that Trump can't just like screech over him and say, oh, you're wrong, liar, 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 pants on fire, over and over and over, right? So like that's an advantage for Biden right there. He can't get distracted by Trump screeching at him for stupid fucking reasons. But on the other hand, it's bad for Biden because we don't get to see Trump acting deranged. All the Trump is deranged memes, we don't get to like prove those true because his mic will be muted. It just depends on how much we're actually still able to hear based off of how the mics are set up, right? But for Trump, it's bad because he wants to, distract Biden. He wants to, call him out and be ruthless, et cetera, et cetera. So he can't do that. But it's good for Trump because he can't be as deranged as he would normally be. And that's just like the way that it's going right now. Like that one rule is in both of their favors, which is a little bit strange. And it's also in both of their, it's a negative for both of them as well.
Are set so low by the Republicans that he's gonna probably have an easy time beating expectations in that regard. Now, forget about the aesthetic stuff. Some things that I think he needs to stress. The second thing that I think is really important, he's got to stress the domestic manufacturing measures that his administration has taken. Record public and private investment in various emergent and manufacturing industries. That's a really big deal, right? Trump's biggest selling point to middle America is, oh, I'm going to bring back these jobs, right? These good middle class jobs where you don't need a lot of education to do them. These manufacturing jobs that built from the middle out so many different communities and obviously hollowed out so many communities when they left. I'm going to bring those things back. But Biden has really put his money where his mouth is in that regard. Obviously, it helps to point out that even Republicans are taking credit for infrastructure bill, IRA, CHIPS Act investment because they're awesome. They're really good bills. They spurred billions and billions of dollars of investment in all of these communities that we're talking about. And the IRA specifically had carve-outs for people who lived in forgotten energy communities, right? That was the additional subsidy that you get for building solar and wind projects in communities like this. And that's good because, again, it helps to hopefully even out and create a more equitable economic environment. But it does it in a way that doesn't destroy the economy like Trump would say, right? This is where you can bring it into the fact that you can contrast this with Trump's plan, which is to raise tariffs on everything, right? That's a direct tax on Americans. This is something you can hit Trump on. Trump doesn't understand what tariffs are. He constantly says that other countries are paying the tariffs when in reality it's a tax. It's basically almost like a sales tax that you pay for purchasing those products that's passed down to consumers. It's Americans that pay these taxes, right? And you can talk about how he wants to get rid of the income tax. I remember a while ago when Mitt Romney's presidential campaign in 2012 was significantly derailed because he said, 43%, 42%, something like this, or 47%, some percentage of Americans are lazy, they want to take this and that because they don't pay income tax. Trump wants to get rid of the income tax and charge everyone a huge amount of tariffs for all the goods that they purchase. And obviously that's a huge tax increase on lower income and middle income people. And I think it would do Biden well to point out that not only is he better than Trump in terms of bringing back manufacturing, bringing back this type of investment, but he's also doing it in a much smarter way that doesn't lead to everyone paying more for like every single possible good that you can think of, essentially. Now, the third thing, if Israel and Palestine comes up, which I'm sure that it will, it'd be very reasonable to ask questions in this regard, Biden has got to go on the offense. He has to point out that Trump probably couldn't pick out Palestine on a map if he wanted to. I would bring up Trump's quote about letting Netanyahu finish the job. That looks really, really bad. I think that it would behoove Biden to press Trump, or at the very least for the moderator to press Trump on what's your plan? Is your plan just to let Israel just do literally whatever they want? I mean, if that's your plan, go ahead and say that with your chest. Let's see how resonant that is to the American public. I think it's important, obviously, to point out in contrast that most Americans want a ceasefire, and Biden can position himself as the most critical to Netanyahu major candidate in the race, who will obviously achieve a ceasefire or some sort of medium-term peace in a way that's a little bit more advantageous to the Palestinians at the very least than Trump would, where, Trump seems to basically be a historically pro-Israel candidate who probably, frankly, wouldn't do almost anything to mitigate or curtail or constrain the actions of the Israeli government, whereas, Biden seems to be a little bit better on that issue at the very least. So those are, I think, the keys to victory. Don't get bogged down in Israel-Palestine discussion. Go on the offense. The second issue, you've got to stress the manufacturing stuff that Biden's done in his administration. And number one, although the expectations are set really, really low by Republicans, you got to look normal. You got to look normal, Biden. Look reasonable. All right, Donald Trump. What are the keys to his victory? What are the things that I hope Donald Trump doesn't do so that he doesn't win the debate? Let's talk about it. Number one, Donald Trump, he has got to remain calm. He can't be a bloviating dumbass. Now, because the mics are going to be muted, it's hard to say whether or not this is even an option for him, right? I mean, again, this is something where the mics being muted when they're not speaking could help Trump because he's not able to be a bloviating dumbass because the mics are muted. He's just going to sound like an even crazier person. Now, it would be hilarious if Trump tries to shout through the unmuted mic in order to get his points through.
Just had to put in a little timeout.
In front of 0 people in the audience, that would be really, really hilarious. But if he does that, I think he's going to look really, really bad. I think that people are going to say he's unhinged, this and that. He's going to look really, really terrible. Now, as much as the Republicans have set a low bar for Biden, the caveat to Trump looking calm is that Trump seems to lower his audience's expectations of himself on a daily basis. People don't tend to expect Trump to act professionally. So to any degree that he basically just sits there and stays quiet and lets people finish their points, he tends to beat expectations as well. So to any degree that he can stay calm, I think he's going to beat expectations. He's going to have a better than average or a better than expected debate performance if he's able to do that. Number two, obviously, I think that Biden's weakest issue that Trump could bring up on a regular basis in this debate is the economy, obviously. I mean, the vibe session, whatever you want to call it, people have this generalized view that the economy is just not as good as it should be. I think there are also specific statistics that Trump could bring up that would be, perhaps hard for Biden to talk about. For instance, the debate's going to be happening in Atlanta, Georgia. You could talk about the price of housing in various major metropolitan areas. You could use Atlanta as an example, which is where this debate is going to be hosted, I should say. It's very, very important for Biden to have a good answer on this. You have to be able to defend your economic record. No president's ever won re-election in an environment where people generally think the economy is terrible. No president's ever won re-election during a recession. For whatever reason, whether it was because of that president or because of exogenous factors, people don't like recessions. People hate when the economy's bad. People are always, almost forever, at least independents, outside
That's
the
a hot take right there, Econo boy.
Running things, whether it's his fault or not, if the economy is bad, you've got to be able to hammer him on stuff like that. You can, Biden can bring up the fact that he prevented a financial crisis with Silicon Valley Bank. He can bring up the fact that a soft landing was achieved. He can bring up the fact that unemployment is super duper low. He can bring up the fact that there are many different housing initiatives that his administration is spurring. He can bring up the fact that his administration invested in the cheapest form of electricity. What do you call it, solar energy with the IRA tax credit expansion. He can bring up the fact that his administration is negotiating on drug prices, which is going to lower the cost of prescription drugs. There's a lot of things that Biden can bring up in this regard, but what I'm worried about in this section of the debate, if Trump hammers Biden on the economy, is Biden's going to have a relatively milquetoast, sort of like more centrist, acquiescent response. Oh, you're right. The economy is pretty bad. Oh, the economy's not doing as well as we thought it would. Oh, well, we're digging a big hole out, and, we're not on the other side of that yet where we're filling the hole, but, we're getting there. It's like, no, you have to run on a positive, boisterous economic message in order to look good in this section of the debate. I think it's going to be one of the biggest things that Trump brings up is the economy over and over and over again, inflation, the price of various consumer products, because that resonates with people. Biden has to have a good answer on that, or he's just going to lose the debate. He's going to look very, very weak on this issue. The third thing that I think Trump can do in order to swing this debate in his direction is bring up the border. So Trump has the potential to kill Biden on the border if Biden is not prepared. The reality is that there's a lot of border crossings, and the asylum system is likely in need of a major overhaul. Now, this is a risky strategy considering that Trump killed the border bill, which arguably could have greatly alleviated this problem, but this issue resonates with...
Yeah, I really... You know what? I'm actually so fucking curious how they're going to try and spin that. Like in a debate where you're directly confronted, right? How are you going to spin the fact that not only people that, not only people that agree with you, but also, or disagree with you, but also people that agree with you think that you're, or like have come out and stated explicitly that you were the reason that that border bill that was bipartisan didn't get passed. How are you going to respond to that? Like, when their stuff isn't but that much different. Their policy proposals aren't that much different. What was the comment? It was the Jewish extremism of Front Yard Shield.
Not only Trump's base, but also many, many independents. I mean, you're starting to see polling out where even Democratic voters are starting to be much more skeptical of allowing in immigrants and allowing immigration, things like this. And so Biden has to he's got to tread water here, right? He's got to be really careful, because I think that there's a good chance that this issue looks pretty bad for Biden. I think that your best bet is to hammer Trump on the fact that, number one, he signed an executive order that at least, nominally can help solve the problem. He also tried to sign that bill and propose that bill, the border bill, that could help alleviate this problem as well, but Trump was actually the one who ended up killing it for political reason. Again, Biden has to be forceful on this issue. He cannot acquiesce in this regard, or he's just going to look really, really bad, if you ask me. those are, in my view, those are the things that each candidate can do to swing the debate, the battle for public perception in their direction. We'll see, of course, if either of them actually do any of these things. Of course, I'm just some random guy making these recommendations, but I think that these are things that generally, by my read of public opinion, would be effective for either candidate to implement in their strategy. And we'll see. The first debate's early. We'll get to see almost a sneak preview for the following debates that are coming up throughout, starting this Thursday, June 27th. Did you like that video? Did you hate it? Well, be sure to like or dislike the video accordingly. Of course, be sure to tell me what you think in the comment section down below as well.
True. Alrighty. Yeah, no, I agree with basically everything that he said there. I didn't have too much to add because it's basically all the things that I've been saying before we started watching the video and that I said at the very beginning of the video. The debate, it could go either way. Don't get like so twisted. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Don't get so, caught up in everything that you think that like your side is like absolutely going to, or your guy is going to absolutely demolish the other guy, because either one of them could demolish the other one. That's just kind of the way that it is right now. That's unfortunate, but it's kind of the way that it is right now. Both of them are a little bit geriatric. Both of them are a little, both of them are a little, both of them have their faults. All right, we'll say that. After this, give Tron his segments by reacting to the Tucker video. Okay, well, let's see what the Tucker video is. If it's something that's super long, if it's that same thing that Print Yard Shield linked. Oh my God. Okay, you gave timestamps. Okay, I was about to say, Jesus Christ, that's long.
And you can't cite it.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going into this blind. Tucker Carlson responds to Julian Assange's release during Australia's speech. Okay, so the first timestamp that we're supposed to go to is 5:35. I'm going to go to 5 minutes. We'll give him 30 seconds to give us a little bit more context. Let's see what it is. Let's see what this is.
I mean, what is that? I don't know if the outrage of it. I've been to London a lot recently, and now I've been in Australia for a week, and there's just absolutely no comparison. And I do think it's
right. They might be accurate. I just want to make sure that if anybody watches a video of me going over anything, that the I'm showing the full context. I'm not clipping anything out of context because I don't even have anything to clip out of context. I've never, I don't even know what we're watching yet.
It's very important to update our files, which is to say our perceptions of things are very often way out of date, in some cases centuries out of date. And I think the perception, perhaps here I can't speak for you, but around the world is there's this, the mothership, Great Britain, that gave birth to all these other successful countries, including the one that I live in, and that it somehow has moral authority as a result of that. Well, if you haven't been to London recently, book a ticket and then fly back here. In fact, why don't you just fly from London to Perth, assuming there are direct flights, and ask yourself, what do I notice? One city is crumbling, it's filthy, it's been so misruled by the people in charge that unless you're rich, you can't live there. And you come back to, and that's not an exaggeration, go to London, seriously. And you come back to Perth, and and I know everyone makes fun of Perth in Western Australia, but as an outsider, it's like San Francisco without the junkies. It's one of the prettiest places I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, I don't even know who rules this. I don't understand the details of the politics. I'm a foreigner.
Who says that London is crumbling? I get the immigration arguments and stuff like that, but the idea that these cities are crumbling is pretty insane to me. Because just because there's more immigrants equals crumbling infrastructure? Also, isn't Australia also a big immigration place for a lot of places in Southeast Asia and I think also Africa? And then a little bit of Middle East, that's where their main sources of immigration come from?
Foreigner. But whoever is managing this place day to day is doing a remarkable job. There are very few cities in the world as pretty as your cities. And I know that you're so isolated and just far away in the Southern Hemisphere. You might not have perspective on that, but some of the capitals that you read about and in some cases genuflect toward, consider superior, take orders from, have no right to give you orders. Because they're in no sense superior to you. In fact, they're inferior to you by a lot. And London is at the top of that list. So I guess my bottom line advice, and I mean this in this spirit of generosity and humility, but is understand how impressive Australia is in comparison to the rest of the world, particularly the English-speaking world. Australia has advantages that the rest of us, the other four of the Five Eyes, can only dream about. You're sparsely populated, 26 million well-educated, decent people, law-abiding people. You have virtually no real poverty, no concentrations of poverty in this country.
Does he realize that compared to the United States, Australia is significantly further left? I guess, okay.
It's like the most middle-class English-speaking country left in the world, which is a huge compliment. That's what you want. It's basically an egalitarian country. Egalitarian countries are stable countries. Bolivia is not stable because it's, pyramid-shaped. This is pretty flat. It's the last flat country economically in the English-speaking world, and its natural resources, dwarf everyone else's. I mean, I do think one of the great lies that we in the modern world have been told is that prosperity is generated by banks and real estate, and that's it. Then money lending is the engine
Nobody
of prosperity.
says that.
And in the short term, that of course can be true because it juices that, that mysterious thing we call GDP, which is a measure of economic activity. But over time, it doesn't actually create wealth. That's a lie. What creates wealth is productivity, and what's required for productivity are resources, and you have more resources than virtually anybody. Bauxite, coal, ore, gas, nickel, copper, lead, uranium, more than almost anybody else in a country with almost no problems, except the ones that you allow your leaders to intentionally import. And pretty much nobody lives here. I just flew over.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. I don't know, like, dick all about Australia. Maybe next time I stream, I get my girlfriend who lived in Australia and has lots of friends in Australia still to come through. But I don't know dick all about Australia. So if we're gonna watch a video where he's like mostly talking about Australia, what the fuck am I gonna say? Just ask questions about things that like I don't. Go to the second timestamp. Okay, gotcha. 27:32. Wait, hold on. I'm actually curious. It says, "Who's the most difficult person Tucker has interviewed?" Is he going to say? Putin?
With the first one, Tucker. Obviously, you've interviewed many people. Who's the most challenging and why?
People I've interviewed? Yes. Well, I've interviewed some true lunatics. I've interviewed a lot of drunk people who have anxiety attacks on camera live. I've interviewed an awful lot of politicians where you just feel like there's something so dark coming off them. You get that feeling like I'm not really sure what you're into, and I don't really want to know, but I'm pretty sure drinking human blood is part of it. You get that feeling. I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest, I think Trump is one.
I have talked to politicians multiple times in my life. I've gone to like the speeches that they give, campaign stops. Not to like give too much information about my real life, but my family has known some politicians. I've had some politicians in my family, not federal, but like to the point where we could meet other politicians, and not a single one of them ever gave me like a vibe. Not a single one of them ever gave me a vibe that there was, blood drinking going on. I feel like this is just like a concoction of the schizophrenic, Tucker Carlson fan.
One of the hardest to interview. I love Trump personally, actually, and I agree with him on so many things, and I'm certainly rooting for him. Now that the Department of Justice in the United States is trying to take him out of the presidential race on utterly fake charges. So I'm totally for Trump in those ways. But he's difficult to interview because he's, discursive? He sort of goes off in other directions, which very often are hilarious. So you go in there with a set of questions like, like your dutiful little dorky journalist. I got to ask him about this, got to ask him about that. And you get to about midway through the first question, and he's off. Wow, I had another thing. And you just sort of realize, no, my job is not to get my questions answered. They won't be anyway. Just enjoy it. Sit back and think of England. So yeah, that's difficult unless you, sorry, I shouldn't have said that, excuse me. Unless you approach it with the right cast of mind, which is just let it go. This is
second timestamp is 27:32.
You've almost thanks for your speech.
Of course,
Mr. Carlson. The media can be extremely negative, so it's nice to hear uplifting comments about our country.
It's an amazing country.
It is, and I think we forget that in Australia oftentimes, so I appreciate that. You've preempted my question on Putin.
Putin! Putin!
I think you did strategically because you knew it's what we'd ask.
Putin! He's so bad!
And I also appreciate that...
Did he make you take the COVID shot?
Take the what?
The COVID shot?
How would Putin make anybody outside of Russia take the fucking shot? Huh, did Hitler make you take the shot? Must be better than Biden. Like, what are we saying here, dude? What is it that we're saying here? Because I don't get it. I don't understand, Tucker. Please explain it to me. Why is that the response? Please explain, enlighten me, Tucker. I want to understand. I want to believe. Please.
No.
It's a rhetorical question. It's a retarded question.
Oh, he didn't. Sorry.
What, like, did Putin make you take the COVID shot? Implying, like, what has Putin ever done to you? I don't know. He's, like, intentionally tried to divide our country by feeding misinformation through the likes of people like you, Tucker. People like you have poisoned the brains of the young people in our country, like Front Yard Shield, from being, like, relatively normal conservatives to being like outright fucking lunatic conspiracy theorists that believe that, you know, they're going to be trying to force us to eat bugs due to the Great Reset. Yeah, I think that, like, Putin has done stuff to me personally. The psychological damage of having to explain multiple times that not every single fucking conspiracy theory is fucking true, is actually harrowing for me. So yes, Tucker, you have personally injured me, and Putin has personally injured me, and I'm not going to forget it. Why did I get timed out last time? Oh, because you were being racist towards Arabs and saying that we should, you know, eliminate all the dirty Arabs.
The COVID shot saved probably tens of millions.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Safe and effective. This is why everyone loves the media.
Safe and effective. Yeah, this is why everybody loves the media. Everybody hates the media because of people like you, Tucker. You are actually a shit stain on all of human history. You are actually one of the worst fucking human beings. And honestly, I would never wish death on literally anyone, and I don't wish death on anyone. And I don't think that it's nice to celebrate people's death, and I usually tell people that that's a really bad and negative thing that we shouldn't do. But, like, the day that Tucker Carlson dies in his late 80s, surrounded by his loved ones, you know, due to, heart failure as a result of his heart ticking beautifully for, 89 years, all right? So no wish of any harm to him, but I will be popping champagne and dancing on your fucking grave, you slime bag, scum fuck piece of shit. There is not a single fucking positive thing you have ever contributed to anyone in the history of your life. There is not a single positive thing you have ever done. All of the negatives of your life outweigh any marginal positive thing you have ever, like, possibly done. Hey, how's it going, Quibbles?
100 times more life than Putin's killed in
It's like a time capsule. It's like you're like the last Japanese soldier on Okinawa. You think the war's still going. It's hilarious. Sorry, I'm sorry.
You still think that people are going to die due to the fucking vaccine when that has not happened. You're still pushing the same fucking narrative that has been going on since fucking 2021, and it has not been proven whatsoever. Millions of people, not millions, billions, literally billions of people all across the world, the most administered fucking vaccine in the history of all of humankind. And there has not been this widespread fucking blood clotting. There has not been this myocarditis fucking epidemic. I have had the shot fucking 5 goddamn times, and I still have not received a single blood clot. I have still not received a single myocarditis. I don't know a single person that has had any complications due to the vaccine. If you look up any data about anybody all over the fucking planet, including our adversaries, including people that fucking hate us, they haven't produced any fucking data that shows that people in their country are getting fucking horrible fucking giant hearts that are pumping out solid bits of blood that give us all strokes. Where's the fucking evidence, Tucker? People hate the fucking media because of you. You are the actual worst fucking human being to ever disgrace the face of journalism since the first fucking newspaper was ever printed. Please, for the love of God, let this guy get to such a low point that he finds a fucking rope and learns to tie a noose. Jesus fucking Christ. I cannot fucking handle these fucking lunatics. Go fuck yourself. German Cabrera, come on my stream right now. Call in. Tell me where I'm fucking wrong, German Cabrera. He can't. He's German. That's right. They have so many anti-freedom of speech laws. Even to utter, a falsehood might land them in jail. Stupid shit. You can keep on saying mean words, but you're not saying a single thing about why I'm fucking wrong. Do you got Discord? Do you got Zoom? You got Skype, motherfucker? Come on, come talk to me. In voice. Let's have a conversation. Tell me why I'm fucking wrong. Or are we just gonna say, stupid shit? You're dumb. You stupid crazy? Okay, yeah, I guess. The vaccine is gonna cause everyone to get blood clots because of the Tucker Carlson told me so. Everybody else in the world is fucking lying. Please. Go take your meds, German Cabrera. Why are we mad at Tucker? I think that he's an absolutely scumfuck, snake, slimeball, fucking low IQ, subhuman piece of shit that has ruined the minds of so many fucking people. I actually fucking hate this man. There's not a single fucking thing that he's ever done positive for anyone in the history of humankind. No fucking thing has he contributed any intelligent conversation to. You think he's worse than other hosts of the post-Fox world? Yes. It may be marginal, but he's the most popular one. He's the one that everybody cites. You don't think he's been significantly better on war than Bill O'Reilly? Well, let me be honest. I'm a little bit too young to have seen much of Bill O'Reilly. All right. I didn't see a lot of Bill O'Reilly growing up. So I'll take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Bill O'Reilly might have been a war hawk, but Tucker Carlson is anti-war as long as it's, in favor of the United States, like something in defense of our own strategic needs. He is principally against the United States on almost every single major point that is happening currently in politics. Good? If you think that war is just a moral wrong, just like on its baseline, you're also retarded. He should support not going to war unless it's in our interest. Right, but all of the things that are happening right now on the geopolitical scale that we're doing are in our interest, like funding Ukraine and giving them more artillery shells and tanks and shit like that. I don't know what we're doing right now that he is against that we shouldn't be doing. Can you give me one thing that we're doing right now that we should just absolutely not be doing whatsoever, and that Tucker Carlson is correct on? Yes, Ukraine is in our interest. What's the plan in Ukraine? I don't understand what the question is. When you say what's the plan in Ukraine? What does winning look like in Ukraine? That's a difficult question because what does winning look like in any war? But I would probably say winning in Ukraine means that they get to fight until they no longer want to, until they can bring Russia to the negotiation table, and they can have a positive outcome for them. That's what winning looks like. I don't know what the end result of negotiations are going to be. But Russia is an explicit adversary of the United States and says so all the fucking time. They have explicitly stated that they want to do their Russian disinformation propaganda campaigns in order to destabilize the United States. So yeah, I think that literally anything that we do to help Ukraine against Russia is in our interest. Wait, it's not difficult in Israel. Winning looks like getting Hamas out of military control of Gaza. But yeah, but winning, that is difficult. Winning looks like that's difficult too. That's my critique of the Israeli government is that they don't have a specific plan and a day after plan. That's the big critique I have of Israel. The idea we're going to get Putin out of military control over Russia. The idea that we're going to get Putin. I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that I'm implying that we should do regime change with Putin to get rid of? Yeah, I don't know if you're in my Discord or not, but jump into one of the You didn't even click the evidence I have? Can you not see that I'm fucking doing something else, Front Yard Shield? Take another fucking 15. You know what? Take a 5. We'll wait for Quibbles to jump in Discord. Panda Man, I am not going to stop in the middle of everything that I do all the fucking time for you to send me a fucking link. You didn't even click on the link. No, I didn't fucking click on the link. Yes, I saw you send me a fucking link. I'm talking to someone else right now. Yo.
Hey, what's up?
Okay. I don't know if you think that I'm advocating that we go in with our troops into Ukraine or into Israel. I'm not sure exactly what you're thinking I'm implying or what.
Yeah, so okay, Tucker Carlson is generally, I would say, more anti-war than is certainly Bill O'Reilly. I would also say Hannity. I would say the mainstream of the sort of Fox world prior to him. Would you agree with that?
Prior to him, yes. I would say that people that are still there have switched over to the more Trumpian MAGA movement type foreign policy stuff.
Okay, but Trump is not a leader and Trump doesn't actually move the party. Trump follows the party.
No,
I would say that
absolutely not. Trump sets
Wait, really?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
You think that Trump... No, because Trump... I agree that people listen to Trump. That's true. But the question is whether or not Trump is himself thinking up the policies that he's pushing for. Certainly back in the 80s, for example, he was definitely pro-choice. He is no longer. The reason for that seems to me to be that he doesn't actually believe in anything in terms of abortion. He's just following what the people want to hear. The same thing's true on gun issues, right?
Okay. I think we might agree, but we just come about it at different ways. Because when I say that Trump leads the party, you can see the policies of the Republican Party and the the kind of ideology shift to what Trump wants, which is he's going to say something to the audience, and if he gets good feedback, he's going to repeat that thing and maybe go a little bit harder. Because he goes a little bit harder, his people start cheering him on harder, and it's just like a recursive loop of hyping each other up, right? So like they've become more isolationist, whereas the Republican Party before him were very much not isolationist. Yes.
Sure. My point is that there are certain people who I think, regardless of whether you agree with them, John McCain is an example of a person who believes in things. Bernie Sanders is an example of a person who believes in things. Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump are examples of people who don't really believe in things, right?
Sure, I can agree with that.
Okay, so if Trump is not a person who believes in things, he's getting his beliefs from people like Ann Coulter on the border, from people like Trump, or excuse me, like Tucker Carlson, on issues of foreign policy. Do you agree with that?
I don't know if it's that simple, because I think that those people also were much more in line with like the conservative party before Trump came in. I think that it's too complicated to say that these ideas came from like Trump, because I don't think that they explicitly came from Trump. I think it came from like a collection of disaffected, conservative voices online that were more extreme. And because he was he was willing to like say the more extreme things, he got more popular. So I don't think that like anyone like in particular necessarily is pushing him, but there's a collection of more extreme people that,
Sure. My point is that like Bernie Sanders is clearly, whether you like him or dislike him, trying to move his party in a particular direction. The same can be said of some, but not all people who are of like the heights of importance, as Tucker Carlson no longer is, I'd argue, but certainly was when he was in Fox. Okay. And so to the degree that he is a person who is actually interested in changing the direction of the Republican Party, we can agree certainly that the Republican Party writ large is obviously worse than the Democrats writ large. But we can also say that there are better ways and worse ways to push the party. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. So if Tucker Carlson is broadly, in terms of foreign policy, the dude who is pushing back against the war hawks, is that a good thing for him to be pushing back against?
Not in the way that he does it, no, because I don't think that the idea of being principally against war, just like war is always bad, always, because it seems like that is what we hear from all of the pundits, including Tucker Carlson, who seems to be a thought leader despite not being like the big man anymore. So like I would say that it's good to be anti-war for like, let's just like go and make sure everyone is a democracy, and we're going to invade you if you're not a democracy, right? Which seemed to be like at least a sentiment that existed in the Republican Party a while back, right? But that's not what they're advocating for, because I would be totally fine with that messaging, right? But when we have explicit adversaries like China and Russia who are explicitly trying to upend a world order that involves like following basic rules of international law, when we have like that sort of paradigm going on, and they're explicitly, by their own words, openly saying that they want to get rid of that because of reasons, I think that they're not principally against war. They're against war for all of the reasons that Russia wants us to stay out of any involvement in these wars, right? Because they're not against war because Russia is invading Ukraine. They're against us intervening in any way, shape, or form, even though it's in our interests, even though these people are explicitly out to, try and fuck with our like society. So yeah, I would say that they're against war, and I would say that they're probably against any kind of intervention that would even help the United States. They want us to be totally isolationist.
Wait, they want us to be totally isolationist. Okay, so there's two directions on that. The first direction is I don't think that it's quite fair to say they want to be totally isolationist. But the second, I think, more important one is to talk about what the benefits are of like even if what they're pushing for isn't perfect, if it's better than what pre-existed what they were doing within the Republican Party and within the conservative movement, is that still good?
I don't know if this is better. Like it's it's different, but I wouldn't say it's better or worse.
Okay, but let's take it piece by piece. If it were better than what the Republicans used to be doing, but it's still not a policy that you are supportive of, would it still be a good thing for someone in a position like Tucker's to be doing that instead of being, another brainless Sean Hannity who's just continuing what everyone else is saying?
But that's how I view Tucker Carlson.
Wait, I thought we already agreed that he's a person who actually wants to lead the party in a direction.
I thought that you were sorry. We're talking about too many people at once. I thought you were talking about Trump when you said that.
No, Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker Carlson believes in things and is trying to push people in a direction.
No, I also don't think that Tucker Carlson believes in things. I think that he I think that he is pushed by whatever is going to get him the most popularity at that time.
Hasn't he pushed back against the Iran stuff? Hasn't he apologized over the Iraq war stuff earlier than he otherwise would have within the Republican movement? Hasn't he pushed back on like a number of different things that Hannity has not done?
It is popular to apologize for your coverage of the Iraq war right now. That doesn't give him any brownie points.
No, but he did it before it was popular. And he also has repeated to do so very publicly and pointedly in order to like legitimize his broader stance of being anti-war, right? And specifically anti-intervention of that caliber.
Okay, yeah, I don't know when he did that, but I don't think that takes away from like the broader point. Like if you're going to be anti-war just principally, right, that is not a good thing because there are still things that we should go to war for. It doesn't seem like
is it better to or sorry, go for it.
You're asking me like, is it better to eat, like 3 pounds of cyanide, or is it better to eat, 3 pounds of arsenic? I don't think either is a good option. Like these aren't even like, let's take the least bad of both options. They're both like equally bad, but in just different ways.
Wait, but they're not equally bad, right? There is a ranking of those.
Can you explain to me how
the point is, if the Republican Party, like the Republican Party is going to be the less good party than the Democrats, right? That's likely to be true for the foreseeable future. The question is whether or not there are going to be certain things that are going to be sort of checks and balances on the worst kinds of influences on someone like Trump who doesn't actually believe in anything. To the degree that Tucker Carlson is able, in terms of, for example, the killing of Soleimani, like he was youthful on that, right?
Useful.
Tucker Carlson was useful in terms of that. Yeah, I would say so. Like I think Trump was on a trajectory towards potentially risking a war with Iran. And I think that to the degree that Tucker Carlson was a person in the right side of that, instead of someone like John Bolton being listened to, I think that's a better decision. I think that's a better position for us to be as a country, right?
Probably. But just because, like, again, like it's like if you're right on one thing, that doesn't mean that like your position necessarily stands, right?
Of course not. I'm not
sure.
arguing that people should just like, love and adore Tucker Carlson. Obviously not. I'm saying that if he's better than nobody, which is what Sean Hannity is, right? Sean Hannity is nobody. Donald Trump, I would argue, is nobody, but an eloquent nobody. It's better to have people who are somebody and who believe in certain things that are likely to push us in a less bad option, not a good direction, but a less bad direction. That seems like a good thing.
But I don't see this as a less bad direction. It's just like the same amount of bad, but in the same
it's not,
direction.
No.
Or in a different...
Not going to war. No, not going to war with Iran is a better direction than going to war with Iran, right?
I'm talking about like the broader like ideology that he's been pushing, right? Like we shouldn't like Russia is our friend. Putin is, like Biden is bad enough to make you take the vaccine, but Putin didn't make you take the vaccine. That's what triggered the fuck out of me just now. Like he'll sit there and he'll suck the dick of all these despotic fucking people, right? These horrible leaders that we all agree are horrible leaders that do horrible things. But we're going to give him grace because like sometimes like out of the like million times that he says that we should never intervene in anything that would even remotely be good for us. Like there's one time that Trump did something so fucking unhinged and out of fucking nowhere with no backing from any of our allies that he was like right on that one thing. Therefore we should like take anything. Like I know that you said you didn't say that, but like the idea that.
Can you think of a single example of bravery from Hannity?
Bravery from Hannity? I don't follow these people close enough to like think of.
Well, but that's an example of Tucker Carlson risking something. That's an example of Tucker Carlson standing up to Trump. That's an example of Tucker Carlson putting on the line, you know, in his case, literally at that time at Fox News, millions and millions of dollars, putting on the line his access to a massive platform, a massive audience. And it is something that you have never seen from Sean Hannity, you've never seen from, you know, a whole host of these kinds of guys. And so it's better to have people like him than to have people like Hannity, right? If someone's going to
I would
be in
have
that
to
role,
I would have to think about like the way that you're framing this, like, because I'm still trying to like figure out how this idea that like is bravery in one instance that is a safe, let me be clear, like a safe opinion for him to have with the base that Tucker's talking to, right? That's a safe opinion. Oh, absolutely.
It's not a safe opinion. He was going directly in opposition to Trump.
Just because he's going in opposition to Trump doesn't mean that he's not giving a safe opinion to the people that are listening to him.
Of course it does. He was working at Fox News. This is the height of MAGA. Like, going against Trump is always going to be riskier than going with Trump. Hannity is a loyal servant and will do whatever it is that Trump wants him to do.
Okay.
Tucker
is willing to be the maverick that goes out and gives an equally bad take on foreign policy. No, wasn't
equally bad.
Just because you accidentally stumble over your dick into a fucking good opinion on something doesn't mean that your broader reason for believing that thing isn't bad, right? Like if I arrive at an incorrect conclusion, or if I arrive at a correct conclusion through incorrect means, does that mean that I was correct?
No, but it means that you're arriving to conclusions in ways other than just I will repeat whatever talking points Trump says. Like
if someone tells me that this table is 5 foot, hold on, I just need to understand like if we're even on the same page. If someone tells me that my desk is 5.5 feet wide, right, and they said I arrive at that by using a ruler, right, and then I come over and I grab two die 10s and I roll that and it gives me 5'5", so 5.5 feet, right? Did I arrive at that conclusion in a way that was like still okay?
Okay, obviously that's not what Tucker's doing, right?
I would say that it is.
No, it's not. He has an actual worldview. It's obviously not the one that I hold. It's obviously not the one that you hold. But he does have a worldview, and that worldview extends beyond just I will do whatever Donald Trump tells me to do. Right. And so if we take seriously this concern, which we have been talking about for years at this point, for well over half a decade, of this idea that Donald Trump is an actual existential threat to democracy, that he might actually try and has already tried to overthrow an election and may do so again, it is worth having.
And Tucker lied for him over that.
Hold up. It's worth having people on the other side of the aisle who actually believe things, not the things that we believe, but believe something in a sense that Hannity does not believe in anything. So obviously you're right, Tucker Carlson is usually wrong, but I'd rather someone be usually wrong because they themselves thought of the wrong conclusion rather than being wrong because they're a sycophant.
But he also is a sycophant too, because he also lost his job and cost Fox News $1 billion because he continued to push the lie that the election was stolen, even though he knew it wasn't stolen. Provably.
Okay, hold on. When I talk about being a sycophant, right? The point that I'm saying there is that he's like willing to stand up at all, right? I'm not saying that he's good at standing up. I'm saying that he's done it ever.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the last sentence? I got distracted by something.
I'm not saying that Tucker Carlson is like some virtuous man and that he has repeatedly done the right thing in reference to Trump. Obviously not. But if he has ever made some semblance of noises as though he has an actual worldview that extends beyond "I will do whatever daddy tells me to," that is a better position. He is a better person to have in the kinds of roles that he's operating in than someone who is simply a sycophant.
I don't think that principle, that idea alone tracks, because if there was someone who was
hold on.
Because I'll give you an example of what I mean.
Can we split something? I want to talk about. I'm making 2 points here. One point that I'm making is it is better to have someone who is not a sycophant than to have someone who is a sycophant, even if you disagree with the non-sycophant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to respond to.
I just want to clarify. The second question would be whether or not Tucker Carlson is an example of a non-sycophant. But those are 2 questions, and they are separate questions. What is happening? Why do I have?
I don't know.
Balloons. I didn't need to make balloons.
I'm sorry, I don't have your camera up.
Okay. Well, no one saw the balloons.
Nobody saw the balloons that just came out of fucking nowhere.
There were balloons that, whatever. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah. So, like, I don't think that, like, that idea that you're putting out right there stands on its own. Because if there was someone who had, like, equal stature as Tucker Carlson, but he was, like, pushing, like, literal neo-Nazi, like, literal Hitlerite shit, right? Like, not as, like, oh, well, sometimes Tucker Carlson might dog whistle or something like that. But I mean, like, a literal, like, swastika-waving fucking dude, right? And he was going against, he's mostly in line with the person that's in charge, that's doing crazy shit, right? But, like, occasionally he decides to speak out against him to go into an equally bad direction. That's not any better. That's just another bad person.
Okay, so let me explain why it's better. When people are united, they're stronger. And so if you have 2 different groups of people who are your enemies, even if they're universally always your enemies, if they're separated, if they're not in direct, there are more balloons. I don't know why the balloons are happening.
I'm going to throw your camera up there so everybody can see that.
Okay, cool. I don't know why the balloons. It's an occasional balloon. It's not an all the time balloon. It's like every so often there are balloons. Okay, if you have a choice between one party that's horrible and 2 parties in the system that we have currently that are both horrible, obviously you choose the 2 parties that are both horrible rather than the one party that's horrible, because if you have 2 parties, it's easier to defeat them, right? And so similarly, if you have a choice between a disunified Tucker Carlson wing of the party and Trump wing of the party, that's better than having a unified Trump Hannity side of the party, which is the entire party. Right?
Can you give me an example of Tucker Carlson causing enough like noise in the Republican, causing enough dissent within the conservative MAGA movement that it would be advantageous to us? Because the only effects of what I see come out of Tucker Carlson is the lowering of the collective IQ. I have one reason why I'm so fucking triggered is there's a 16-year-old that I can't get rid of in my chat. Like, I've tried to ban him probably 15 times for like 2 years, right? And I see him slowly become more and more of a conspiracy theorist by listening to people like Tucker Carlson. But he's not just listening to Tucker Carlson. He's talking about Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones and Dave Smith and like a million other very popular in the MAGA movement people that are online who might have mild disagreements on small things, but this isn't creating disunity. They're all spreading the same kinds of fucking lies all the time and effectively putting people into a separate reality where they're not fighting against each other. Because if they were fighting against each other, yeah, I would have to concede, right? But I don't.
But they are fighting against each other. Right now, there's this massive fight going on within the Republican Party over Israel.
Has that materialized in any way to
Yeah.
like?
Candace Owens left the Daily Wire. Yeah, it has materialized.
Has that like lessened her reach that we know it? Or I guess it might.
Hold up. It's not a matter of lessening her reach. It's a matter of there's a disunification there. In the same way that it's bad for the Democrats that right now there's this massive, Jamal Bowman versus AIPAC, whatever you want to call it, struggle. In the same way that there's this massive sort of thing within the Democratic Party, and that's making it harder for us to win in November. It's also harder for them to win in November if there's going to be this massive disunity there, right?
I don't see this like massive disunity. There are people, I will agree, there are people that say that we shouldn't in the Republican Party and say we shouldn't be funding Israel, we shouldn't be giving them any bombs, we shouldn't be giving them any, like, why are we even over there in the Middle East, blah 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 blah. Do those voices drown out like literally anything to do with Trump? Or is that causing any kind of division within the electorate that would lead to him not getting reelected, or to creating enough of a split in the MAGA movement to where like there's the pro-Israel side of the MAGA movement and the anti-Israel part of the MAGA movement? Because when I see conservatives talk about this, when they have these like conversations where they disagree, it's like, well, I don't think that we should help Israel because, why are we even over there? And the other person will be like, yeah, I mean, I support Israel because I think, XYZ reason, but like, I totally understand why you would say that. And maybe we should like consider like some changes in our relationship, but I don't think that like this is the time to do that, nor do I think that like the way that you're going about it is the right thing. But I don't see anybody changing their votes. I don't see any like like with the Democrats, there is like, no, I shouldn't say that on stream. Because of personal reasons, but like there are like, I know for a fact that there are in like different political organizations that are outreach orgs, people that are inside of the party that say, listen, we're going to do this fundraiser, or we're going to do this this campaign stop. Do not bring up Israel Palestine. Do not bring up Israel Palestine. Does that happen with fucking the Republican Party?
I won't pretend to be intimately aware of how campaign fundraisers work for the Republican Party.
The reason I would say that they don't.
Here's what I will say.
I'll give like the end point of my thing. This is the last sentence. The reason I don't think that happens on the Republican side is because on the Republican side, you have them going out and attacking Democrats for not being pro-Israel enough. There isn't like anybody saying don't talk about Israel at these campaign stops because it doesn't hurt their polling nearly enough. There's like not this big division that you're talking about on that.
Okay, here's what I will say. This is one of the weakest Congresses really of all time.
True.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason for that is because they have a slim majority and because there is absolutely no unity of that party. Do you agree with that?
I would say of the people of the party, sure.
Okay. So if you are able to make there be more disunity within the Republican Party, that's a good thing, right? To the degree that like Marjorie Taylor Greene has
outsized power, yeah.
But so she has this outsized power, and like this sounds crazy on its surface, but when you really unpack it, Marjorie Taylor Greene is better for Democrats than someone who was a normal Republican, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is constantly getting into these stupid
I agree with you on this
kinds of bullshit.
Yes.
Right. So if even someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who definitely believes in things in ways that many other Republicans don't, because she's definitely taking political risks in support of the crazy things that she's doing. If someone like her is good for us simply because she's fighting against the dominant powers of the Republican Party, then someone like Tucker,
who
not only disagrees.
I super disagree with the idea that she is in the minority of the party. She's in the more
minority of. I'm sorry, I was
like said that like the power. The specific words were like
minority of the power of the party in terms of people in Congress.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're the ones that are gaining power. They're the ones that are getting more. Oh, Oh, okay. You're just flipping your.
I just
things
wanted
out.
to flip my
Yeah.
camera. Yeah.
I thought that my internet disconnected.
No.
The fact that they are the ones that are gaining power, that are the ones that are seen in the like broader electorate as the, these are the people that we want. We want more of these people, right? And it's because of people like Tucker Carlson. It's because of people like Candace Owens. It's because of these people that like may give nominal disagreements, and even if they like truly and like will like fight to the death on the point, it doesn't mean that it's not doing damage to like the broader American, like society, political like system, like our institutions, right?
Sure.
If they're gaining power, if they were like causing all Republicans to lose power, I would agree. But we're at a 50-50 split in this country, like across the fucking board.
Okay, but we're not at a... Yeah.
Yeah, and the last part is, and they're not even, it's not even like we just disagree. They don't live in the same fucking reality as us. They live in another dimension, and they're convincing all of their constituents of this other dimension's facts.
Okay. The issue is that we're not at a 50-50 country. What we're at is a 51-49 country that keeps splitting between who gets 51%. And so if we're able on the margins to make Democrats more electable in certain ways, or to make, more importantly, Republicans less electable in this case, by having there be this more disunity within their ranks, having that disunity is a good thing, right?
Again, this is...
I'm not making that like sign. I don't know why that like sign
there's another bubble. Here, like, on one hand, like the logic of what you're saying, I can't argue with, because I do like the idea of divide and conquer. Like, fuck the Republicans. They're obviously the worst party between the two, right? But the problem is, I don't see them causing enough division for me to like be happy about their presence. They're not creating more division in a way that it's like, they don't know who to vote for. They're creating more division in that they are subsuming the entirety of the Republican Party to the point where Trump literally like controls the RNC through one of his family members, right?
Sure.
And we're not seeing a lessening of power due to the division. We're seeing the movement only get bigger and bigger.
Okay, but the question is, which one is more divisive? Is Sean Hannity more divisive, or is Tucker Carlson more divisive?
I'm going to say Tucker Carlson.
In terms of the country or in terms of the party?
Oh, I'm talking about in terms of the country. But because
of fuck that, I don't care.
But
we have to care about the party. The country's not.
The party is moving in the direction of what Tucker wants, and his idea is explicitly worse than Hannity's. Because if the Republican Party were a bunch of like neocons and Hannity was just like pushing because he's a sycophant, I agree with you on that, right? If Hannity is just going to be pushing whatever the Republicans say or do or want, right? And the broader Republican Party is like still like, listen, like there are some things that we can't not do. Like we can't not fund Ukraine. We can't not like have like Israel as our ally. Like these are two like important of issues for us to not do anything on. It's too
not
important.
Equally. They're not equally important. But
sure. Yeah. I mean, I just mean like they're both so important that we can't not do the thing that we're doing there, right?
No.
In terms of like national security, but like just
I don't agree with that, but whatever. Continue.
Sure, you understand the point that I'm making, right? The same thing goes with like the like question of like the invasion of Taiwan, right? Like if the war hawks over there say like, oh, we're gonna start war with China because like we have to put them down before they get too strong. Like honestly, I feel like the generalized like anti-war sentiment in the United States is fine enough to not have us actually be pushed into a aggressive war with literally anyone. And also our institutions are strong enough without people, like Trump or like other lunatics like him or MAGA people in office, right? To keep us from starting an aggressive war against a near peer adversary, right? I don't think that that's something that I would be worried about with even the neocons of 2004, right? Whereas with Trump, I would genuinely worry about...
You aren't worried that we would go to war with Iran?
So, no. What I'm saying is, like, let's say that the neocons of 2004 were the ruling Republican Party right now. I don't think that they would be trying to go to war with China, like start an aggressive war, invade China preemptively for Taiwan, or start a war with Russia, right?
They definitely did in the past engage in cold wars against Russia.
Cold wars and hot wars are completely different.
They are different points on a sliding scale, but they're definitely not different in kind in the way that I think you're describing them as being.
We can get into like Cold War stuff too, but I'm just talking about like, I would worry more about Trump not taking any action against like Russian aggression or Chinese aggression or Iran doing something. Maybe not because of Israel, but like something in the Middle East or something like that. I'd be more concerned about him not doing action that we ought to do.
Wait, so I just want to make sure I understand this. You're saying that not going into the war in Ukraine would have been worse as a potential direction for the Republican Party than going in to Vietnam, for example?
Oh, I'm talking about like current right now. Like
no, but I'm saying we went into Vietnam, right? We went into Vietnam because of a bunch of war hawks. Vietnam was obviously a disaster. Would not going into into Ukraine be as bad for America as going in to Vietnam?
I don't know the answer to that because I don't know enough about the Vietnam War and the surrounding stuff. My history
Afghanistan,
on Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Not going into Afghanistan, or the idea of not going into Afghanistan be as bad as not helping in Ukraine.
No. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, would going into Afghanistan, the decision to make going to Afghanistan, obviously it was a disastrous decision to make, but the decision was made. Would the decision of not going into Ukraine be equally disastrous as the decision to go into Afghanistan?
I would have to think about that. I think that the war in Afghanistan at the beginning was more justified than Iraq. If you were to change it to Iraq, it would be an easier choice because that was wholly unjustified. Afghanistan at least had some justification, right? Because that is where the fucking Taliban, Al Qaeda were, right? So there was at least like some justification for that. Now, how long we were there, that's a different thing. But like, I can't say for certain, but to be honest, if the trends, because we don't know for sure what the end goal of what Russia wants is, we don't know how likely it is that China will invade Taiwan, but they're making these moves, right? If what I believe is what Russia is doing in Ukraine and what China is doing over in Taiwan and all of that stuff is what it is, which is they're trying to essentially destroy what it means to have like the UN. The UN would be completely useless. People would start leaving it because they're going back into...
The UN has always been useless. That's not new.
That's not true. But...
It is absolutely true. When was the time that the UN mattered?
Well, I would say Kosovo was probably like a pretty good one.
No, America mattered in Kosovo. I don't think the UN mattered in Kosovo.
The UN sets standards by which we're supposed to interact, and it also provides a peaceful place and setting for us to negotiate between nations with neutral third-party arbitrators. That is something that the UN facilitates that did not, it did exist before the UN, but because of the exact thing that I fear that Russia is going for and China is going for, that collapsed. That being wars of like territorial acquisition, like extreme aggression militarily.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is your claim that it is more difficult to negotiate with Russia now than it was to negotiate with Russia?
No, I didn't say anything about that. No. What I'm saying is like they don't want the liberal world order of like rules-based, interactions between countries where we don't have wars of territorial acquisition anymore. Like, they have a lot of...
China? Are you talking about China or are you talking about Russia?
Both of them. Because China wants to take Taiwan. They've explicitly stated that. Russia is in the process...
Go for it.
Yeah, Russia is in the process of taking Ukraine, right? So are these not wars of territorial acquisition?
I think that Russia's been pretty clear about that they don't want Ukraine to be part of NATO, and they've been pretty clear about that for many decades at this point.
That is not the reason why they went to war.
That is explicitly what Putin said was
They couldn't join NATO. They couldn't join NATO.
Correct.
They already couldn't. So why would you invade?
No, he wanted that on paper. He wanted it to be that they will never join NATO on paper.
Okay, why didn't he say that when we were trying to negotiate at the beginning of the war, right?
He did.
Yeah, he also said that we have to take away all of our subs from ever going anywhere in the Pacific Ocean, and a bunch of other equally fucking insane things that we would never ever ever agree to for our own security.
Okay.
Did you see the list of demands?
I saw the list of demands.
Do you think that we
work in the international stage is that you have to ask for more than you're actually going to get? The thing that he was actually asking for, as I think is pretty reasonably understood by the international community, is that there be an explicit statement that NATO would never extend towards their borders. That's what he was demanding.
If it was about NATO, why wasn't there a war with any of the other Balkan states? Why wasn't there anything like that? Tucker Carlson, speaking of him, he literally interviewed Putin, and the dude went on
this conversation.
Yeah, they had this conversation, and he wasn't talking about NATO. He thinks that the entire NATO world is out to get Russia.
He's talking about the Western expansion towards his borders. Yeah, he's talking about NATO.
I watched that interview recently because people accused me in a Discord of not giving a fair shake, and let me tell you, the ramblings of that man were so conspiratorial. Okay. There is no way that
he's conspiratorial and that Vladimir Putin is a bad man does not mean that we need to misidentify what his demands are. We can say that he's doing these horrible things to get his demands met, but we still can admit
should we take George Bush at his word that we were trying to spread democracy in Iraq? Would you take that stance? Should we take Putin at his word when he says we don't want Ukraine to join NATO? Is that the reason why they don't want them to join NATO? Or maybe the reason that they invaded in 2014 was because in 2014 was because Ukraine didn't want to join their economic union.
I think when Vladimir Putin has been saying the exact same thing in reference to Ukraine for literally 2 decades, that we can start taking his word for it.
He's been saying that Ukraine isn't even a real place, and they shouldn't. It was a mistake for Lenin.
This specific thing is a red line for 2 decades. I don't.
Yeah, and it wasn't going to happen. So why did he invade? It wasn't going to happen.
Because he demanded it on paper, and we refused to give it to him on paper.
Yeah, because he doesn't get to tell anybody else. He doesn't get to tell anybody else why they or who they can associate, why they can associate, or who they can be in an alliance with.
Wait, I'm sorry. Vladimir Putin can't tell Ukraine not to join NATO? Are you serious?
Yeah, because Ukraine is its own sovereign nation.
Wait, no.
Yes, it is. Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot the part where Ukraine was a province of Russia this entire time. We just forgot all of the Bucharest memorandums.
If Canada wanted to join a Russian military alliance that was explicitly created during the Cold War in direct opposition to the United States on the border of the United States, you're telling me that we would let Canada get away with that?
Number one, I don't think that we would invade Canada. Number two, even if that was the case, the alliances that were made during the Cold War are not having the same purpose as they do now because the Soviet Union does not exist.
Sondsol, Vladimir Putin disagrees with you about what the purpose of NATO is. What do you think the purpose of NATO is?
So if he invaded Ukraine based off of a false premise, doesn't give him the right to invade Ukraine.
Sondsol, what's the purpose of NATO?
The purpose of NATO is a defensive. Well, it was originally created. You're right, because they didn't want the USSR to invade them. They said, "Hey, if you invade us, we're all going to fuck you." Right?
Okay, so it is explicitly about Russia.
Is it still?
What's the purpose of NATO still now? What's the purpose of NATO?
From 1993 until I don't know, 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, there was a huge crisis of what is the point of NATO, where all of our partners were drawing down their military spending. They were saying, hey, maybe we don't need to be in NATO anymore. And there were people that were considering leaving because there was no point to NATO. The only reason that NATO is now on a fuck Russia trajectory again is because of Russia's actions.
Okay. So from Russia's perspective.
Oh shit, I have to go. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what time it is.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
Hey, I love you. Hey, we can continue this later. All right, man?
All right. Yeah.
All right. Bye. Fuck. I'm so mad that we didn't get to finish that fucking conversation. God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. All right, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you guys need to go over to Kick right now, okay? You guys need to go over to Kick right now because the presidential debate is about to start and we can't stream that on YouTube, okay? So go over to Kick. I'm going to run down to the bathroom and I'm going to piss. I'm going to get myself something to drink and then we're going to jump backstage. Fuck. No, I know Quibbles. We're already friends on Discord. I hope that we can finish that conversation soon. But hey, listen, everybody, let me just fix something in my settings here. Sync start with OBS. Okay, I'm going to end stream on YouTube. If you are not on the Kick channel yet, you need to go to Kick. All right? Ending it in just a second. 3, 2, 1.